Welcome into the EMA Online Video Fastbreak. Mason Voth, Alec Bussey here with you from EMA Online and Rivals. The Cats, they come away with a victory. They end up winning by a final score of 68-58. Things looked bleak for a little bit. Alec not prepared, forgot his box score over there. But K-State ultimately ends up pulling it out. They were down 5 at halftime, and you get a little worried when you see something like K-State botches their final possession of the half, and then Tech drills a half-court three. You kind of start to get the feel that maybe it's not your night, but the Wildcats were able to survive that. And when they were down 8 in the second half, Jerome Tang called a timeout. They responded well. And from that point, I mean, the Chiefs are playing right now, but to steal a line from Mitch Holthus, they put the hammer down and found a way to win the game.
Yeah, that 11-0 run that K-State had in the second half I thought was huge. Obviously, Keontae Johnson has a couple buckets in there. I think the three-pointer that he made was in there, and then obviously his dunk on the fast break was in that 11-0 run as well. But I really thought their defense in the second half was huge. I know Texas Tech had a stretch where they only made 2 of 16 shots from the field. That included an 0 of 9, I think, as well during that stretch as well. So to be able to lock up on defense, I think is one of the biggest reasons they won today. And Jerome Tang said after the game that he thought their defense today was the best that it's been for much of the season, and it's hard to disagree with him.
Yeah, the defense was good, and like you said, that stretch was important to go 2 of 16 for Texas Tech, and K-State held them there. And the Red Raiders, they were still killing it on the offensive boards like many teams have against K-State this season. I think they ended up north of 20 in the offensive rebound department or came close to it. 23 ends up being the number. So K-State gets hounded there, but second chance points, K-State didn't get beat that bad. It was only 19-15 in favor of Texas Tech. So you're still not getting the ball when you want it and when a possession should end. But at the very least, like you said, K-State's defense was at probably one of its better levels of the season today, and so K-State was able to keep defending it, and that set the tone. It also helps when Marquise Noel returns to form, and he ends up with 20-plus points.
Yeah, and Marquise obviously takes 11 threes, but he makes 4 of them, so you don't mind him taking that many. To keep the joke going, I think Jerome Tang had to take a few vitamins early because a few of them were pulled up early in the shot clock, I could say, and I guess he made a couple of them. Then in the second half, he missed one that was definitely not a very good shot from the perimeter, and I think you saw Tang was like, okay, you're done taking these today. But yeah, Marquise Noel gets back to form, closer to the form, I guess we should say, that we saw him at early in Big 12 play when K-State started 4-0 in league play. And he was on that unbelievable stretch. Is it expected of him to get back to that? No, it's probably not. But the way he played today, I think is a little bit more of what you can expect, close to 20 points. I think he had 7 assists today. So you put all those things together, and it's a really good day for Marquise Noel, and he played well on the defensive end too, especially with a couple steals.
Yeah, great day for Marquise Noel. Keontae Johnson, good again, and he had to pick it up late. I mean, halfway through that second half, you're looking at it and going, man, this is the second straight Saturday where it looks like maybe Keontae's going to take the game off. He came alive. He made some really nice plays and kind of helped spark the run. The other guy that stood out as being huge today was Ish Massoud, and we learned afterwards that they have started to refer to him as Big 12-ish for the way that he's played since conference play began. He ends up in double figures, again hits some big shots. He had a critical 3 in the game, and also the little fadeaway he had extended block towards the end of the game. K-State was already up by a good margin, but when he knocked that down, that was the final punch, and you knew at that point K-State was going to go on to win the game. So Ish Massoud's performance has been great, and K-State, they were the only team atop the Big 12 to survive on Saturday. Iowa State goes on the road. They lose to Oklahoma State. That's K-State's next opponent on Tuesday in Ames. And then the Jayhawks, tough situation for them. They get beat by K-State in an emotional game on Tuesday, and then they return to Allen Fieldhouse on Saturday. I thought there was 0 chance that they lose that game, just knowing everything we know about KU. They get beat by 20 by the Horned Frogs today, so they are down, and KU doesn't have much time to think because they are on the road in Waco on Monday. So Baylor and KU, that's going to be a fun one, and K-State and Iowa State going to go a long way to kind of sorting things out, at least for the time being, as we move forward next week. And then that game will be the last Big 12 game until the following week, because Saturday Florida will be in town. That'll be the next home game for K-State in the Big 12 SEC Challenge.
Yeah, I think Tuesday's game at Iowa State is the biggest game that K-State will have played to date, and obviously it's a big game for Iowa State as well because they can regain control, I guess you could say, not control. They can regain a share of first place in the Big 12 if they beat K-State on their home floor on Tuesday. But if you're K-State and you go into Iowa State and you get a win against the Cyclones, you're going to feel really good about where you're at because you already won up on Kansas because you beat them, and then you really kind of be 1.5, 2 up if you really think about it on Iowa State, who I think is the other big contender for the league title at this point because you'd won on the road and at Hilton Coliseum is a tough place to win, and then you feel good about Iowa State coming in here. So I think Tuesday's game for K-State is the biggest one that they would have had to date. And at this point, Mason, I think games are going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger for K-State as long as they maintain this fight at the top of the Big 12 standings.
And it's important that they're there. And I mentioned it on Friday. My biggest concern was today was the day that we were going to find out if this season was meant to be more like 2008 or if it was meant to be more like 2019. 08, K-State knocks off KU. They don't respond very well, lose to Missouri, and from that point forward, they went 5-6 in Big 12 play after the Kansas game. As for that team in 2019, they ended up going 7-2 after that game, and they went on to win the Big 12. They were more of a competitor for the league crown. That team in 2008, they were fun. They had great players, but they weren't really a threat down the stretch of the season. K-State at least knows one thing now. They are going to be a legitimate contender for the Big 12 title. It's just a matter of if they can continue this for 11 games to pull it off, and it all starts with what could be a huge win on Tuesday in Ames. That'll do it for Alec and I. We will be having plenty of coverage for you over on EMA Online the rest of the day and moving forward this weekend and into next week. And we'll have 3 podcasts next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and plenty of other great coverage. So go check it out and sign up over on Rivals.